The May 4th, 2023 regular session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Pastor Rene Janos with Ministerial Casa de Restauración is our chaplain of the day. Councilperson Marquis will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Bishop Rianos, would you please approach? And I'll invite everyone to please stand if they wish.
Amen. Let us bow our heads and pray. Our Heavenly Father, this evening we thank you for mercy and grace upon our lives. Your word states in the book of Romans chapter 13, verse 1, let everyone be subject to governing authority, for there is no authority except that which God has established. And Father, as we ask you this evening for wisdom and understanding, we ask you to pour that wisdom over the life of our city mayor, the city council, and everyone in authority, that every decision made will bring unity to our community and benefit our residents. Protect everyone that works with our school system, our children daily. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, take the roll.
All members are present with the exception of Councilperson Redd.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have one special presentation. I'll recognize Councilperson McLaughlin in the well, and I'll join you there.
Tonight we have some special guests with us from Northwest High School, and the mayor's joining me because he is an alumni of Northwest High School. He's Viking strong. So we're here tonight to recognize some young people from the Northwest High School Unified Sports Team and Special Olympics teams. The Unified Sports Team joins people with and without intellectual disabilities on the same team. It was inspired by a simple principle: training together and playing together is a quick path to friendship and understanding. In unified sports teams, they're made up of people similar age and ability. And tonight we want to recognize the teams from Northwest High School. The unified sports team recently won the overall section championships. And then also the Special Olympics team. If you follow their Facebook page, they had several recognitions at the Special Olympics. So if the kids, young people, and their advisors want to come forward, we have a special presentation. And we thank you all so much for representing the Northwest side of Clarksville in your accomplishments. Put you right in the center here.
Yeah, we'll put you in the middle. You turn around and face the camera.
Stand by my neighbor.
Oh. Put her right here.
Okay, perfect.
I'll put my hand on your shoulder. Everybody look this way. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Looks fantastic. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the city council vacancy for Ward 12. I'll ask Mr. Baker, city attorney, to come up and talk about this first part of the process. Mr. Baker?
So the mayor's asked me to come up and just review briefly, which I'm sure you're glad to hear, the procedures pertaining to tonight's part of the overall procedure, and then, whenever it is, I think it's next week when we actually have the vote, I will cover before the vote in detail what the voting procedure is. So but the whole, overall, the procedure is found in section 1-2110 of or 210 rather, of the city code. And the first three paragraphs deal with the procedure prior to the vote. I'll just briefly read it to you. Candidates applying to fill a vacancy on the city council other than mayor shall be qualified in accordance with the official charter of the city of Clarksville and general state law. Whenever vacancy shall occur in the office of the city council other than mayor, the ward boundaries in effect at the time of the vacant member's election appointment shall be used to determine ward residency qualifications of the applicant for the vacancy, except in cases of a general election where there has been reapportionment, in which case the most recently adopted reapportionment ward boundaries shall be used. Subsection B, the city clerk shall publish notice of the vacancy, which has been done, and within 60 days of a vacancy occurring, all qualified applicants shall appear before the city council at a regularly scheduled meeting to make known their intention to apply to fill the vacancy, and may make a brief statement to the city council at such meeting concerning the reasons for their desire to serve on the city council, their background, education, training, employment, military service, volunteer work, and such other matters as may be appropriate to an evaluation of their application, and may answer questions from city council members. And then lastly, subsection C, within 14 days of that regularly scheduled meeting of the city council at which applicants appear to make known their intention to apply for the vacancy, the mayor or mayor pro tem in the absence of the mayor shall hold a special called meeting of the city council for the purpose of appointing an applicant to fill the unexpired term of the city council member whose office is vacant. Only those applicants who appeared at the previous regularly scheduled meeting and made known their intention to apply to fill the vacancy may be considered at the special called meeting for voting on the appointment. And all of those procedures have been complied with up to this point, and the special call meeting is scheduled for the 10th, which is next
Wednesday, the
Wednesday.
10th of May, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. in this room. Okay, we have a list before us. We'll go down the list. We'll invite each candidate to come up, address the council if you wish. We'll give the council a brief moment to ask questions if they would like to. So we'll invite the first candidate up to give your name and address, and then you'll have 5 minutes, and then we'll ask questions if they so choose. Kirk Zeman. Mr. Zeman, if you would please come forward, give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name is Kirk Zeman. I live on 3512 Springhouse Trail here in Clarksville. I've been a resident for about 6 years. I've been coming to Clarksville for over 20 years. I work for a company called Jostens I was based down by the river when I used to first come here and help them out. And now we're up in the industrial park. I work as an engineer there at Jostens, and I have an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering. I have my MBA from the University of Minnesota, and I'm currently working on my PhD. Should be finished within the year. And I also volunteer for the Montgomery County Police. I'm one of the deputies for the county. So,
Thank you, Mr. Zeman. Any questions for Mr. Zeman? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Zimmerman, thank you for sharing your bio, your short bio. I have your full bio. My question to you, what is the most pressing problem or issue that you see in Ward 12, and how would you fix it?
Ward 12's problem, and I would say also the city's problem, is growth. We've got a lot of growth going on. My neighborhood in particular, there are plans for currently 6 additional sections of our neighborhood that is rapidly expanding. The road that's basically Trenton and as you're coming down from Sam's Club, there onto Oakland. It's heavy traffic already. So we've got to start, to me, planning for that growth and kind of collaborating with the communities as they kind of grow, basically.
So how would you fix it? How do you see we could fix it?
It's not an easy fix. You've got to start building roads. I'm primarily an advocate of building infrastructure before we continue to approve developments. But as time goes on, you've got to kind of live with what you've already been presented with. So
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes. Hi, good evening. I have a question. I'm going to do a little explanation first.
sure.
So on tonight's agenda, we're considering two resolutions and an ordinance regarding the annexation and a rezoning of approximately 208 acres between Meriwether Road, Oakland Road, I-24, Wilma Rudolph, and Cracker Barrel Drive. There's approximately 1 mile right away along I-24, but this is in a significant amount of land. They are requesting 72.38 acres, C2, which means it can be business or apartments, the maximum yield is probably about 1,100 apartments, and then a population of 2,592. The remainder of the property would be C4, which is businesses, hotels. So my question to you is, if you were going to write a letter to the city council members here, would you write in support of this or against it, and why?
I wouldn't necessarily want to slow the growth, but the idea of trying to put more infrastructure in there and plan what we're going to do for that many more homes and apartments going in that area, that's exactly where I live. And that's exactly the issue that we have already, is that there are so many more homes going in right now.
Okay, and then my other question is, I think we all struggle with this, is how, once you're elected, like I do a newsletter, another member does a town hall. I think we all kind of struggle with how to reach our constituents with information. Do you have an idea of what you might do with that?
Actually, I originally met Deanna McLaughlin a long time ago when I took the city course for the police course that we have. And basically her model of doing her city hall and having people come and actually talk to her and try to tell her how they want to vote is the way I would like to go about it.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilperson McLaughlin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The former speaker asked one of my questions, so I'll go to a different one. What accomplishment are you most proud of and why?
Probably a little bit when I was younger. I was an Eagle Scout. I was probably really proud of doing that. That took a long time, a lot of effort on my part to do that while I was in school.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So I got a basic question. We all have our strengths and weaknesses on the council. What are yours?
I'm an engineer, so I'm very analytical. So, I tend to want more data and probably the average person.
Okay. Weakness?
Yeah, I would call that a weakness.
Okay.
It sometimes causes you to hesitate sometimes on making decisions because you
Sounds
want
like
more
a
data.
strength to me, but okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zeman.
Thank you, sir.
Next name on the list is David Byland. Mr. Byland, please give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is David Billen. My address is 623 Stonewall Lane, which is directly between Trenton Road and Highway 79, right along Oakland and Meriwether. So I'll be addressing Councilman Reynolds' question about growth here momentarily, but let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in this area since 1991. I have been a soldier. I have been a military civilian. I've gone from being a GS-7 to a GS-13, step by step, the hard way. My love of this city is the reason why I want to serve. I think that my experience in management, in journalism, and community involvement, volunteering, all comes to the fore and can make me a good part of the team that collaborates to bring the best for the future of Clarksville.
Thank you, Mr. Billen. Any questions for Mr. Billen? Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
So, basically the same question. Shall I repeat it? Did you get the pieces? Because I don't mind.
No, I don't, I got it, I got it.
Okay.
One of my concerns is that we are looking at maybe another 1,000 vehicles a day on that piece of road, going from Oakland out to in front of Tractor Supply. And anything they build there, I think they're talking about having 6 driveways all going onto Oakland Road. There's no other way out. If you live in that area during the day, during the school day, during rush hour, it's not very pleasant. And adding another 1,000 vehicles is not by itself the best way to go about handling growth in our community. Personally, I would suggest that the vote on annexation be put off because it involves the ward that I believe that I'm in. Whoever is the ward person should be voting on that as well. And then I think that you should be dividing the annexation from the rezoning. Again, it's just trying to look at the solution to proper growth in a sensible way.
And then my other question is, again, keeping in touch or reaching out to constituents. It'll be especially hard because all of you will not have knocked doors or will not have really been out. So how do you plan to start working that?
Part of my career involved running the installation cable channel for Fort Campbell. And so I'm very comfortable in front of a camera and holding town halls, short little blurbs on what's going on, plus putting out a written newsletter. Those are all things that I'm planning on doing and reaching out to people. And then as my time, provided I'm selected, goes on, I will start going around to the neighborhoods and asking people what their concerns are and how we can address them.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. For consistency, I'll be asking the same question. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Coordinating coverage of the presidential visits, working with the White House Communications Agency and the Secret Service, and being able to get the mission of Fort Campbell taken care of while at the same time acceding to the wishes of the Secret Service and the White House Communications Agency. My son is also my proudest achievement.
That's a good answer. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Billen, thank you for this nice resume. Yeah, I see you're very diverse in your leadership. My question to you is, all of the different positions that you have held,
Mhm.
can you give me an example of making a good, harder choice than an easy wrong? Making a good, harder choice when it comes to diversity. I'm speaking in your different jobs, talents that you have, work that you've been a manager of. Can you give me an example of making a good, harder choice than an easy wrong?
You say rather than an easy wrong?
I said, can you give me an example of making a good, harder choice than an easy wrong?
I had to cut my staff by 25% and figure out the best way to do that and still provide the services that the installation needed. The easy choice would have been to provide service that the command group needed, things that they thought were nice to have, but in reality weren't actually legal. And so I had to go before the command group and say, we have to stop doing this because we don't have the money to do it. And while making special plaques for people who are retiring is a nice thing, it's not as important as providing official photographs and doing my documentary work. And that was a hard thing to do. And then I had to make cuts in the area that those people were gainfully employed, but we couldn't afford to keep them.
So this pertains to diversity?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the diversity. In terms of diversity,
I said, in terms of diversity.
okay, I missed that, I missed
You have a
that.
variety of management positions. Give me an example of making a harder good choice instead of a easy wrong.
I mean, all my decisions in management in terms of diversity have been focused on trying to follow both the law and the regulations that the Army had. And a good hard choice. I think the hardest choice I probably had was having to tell a minority employee that we were going to have to cut his service, and then stand up to him when he wanted to file an EO complaint against me. And it turned out that in the end, the entire function, everything that I did was closed. Everyone lost their job. His complaint was that we were cutting down functions just to take him out because of his race. And that wasn't the case. So he still has a job. I'm retired, and the function is gone.
Okay, thank you.
Councilperson Shekina, be recognized.
Yes, good evening, sir. Thank you for that presentation. This is almost a 2-year appointment for whoever, get this particular seat.
Yes, sir.
If you are to get this seat, would you be running in 2024?
I reserve answering that until I have been in the position for at least 6 months.
Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So I'm gonna stay consistent, and I'm just gonna ask you what you feel as though your strengths are and your weaknesses are.
Well, one of my strengths is candor. I will tell you what I think, and one of my weaknesses is candor.
Okay.
I will tell you what I think. I think that in order for us to progress as a city, we have to be collaborative in our efforts. And that goes pretty much, it goes without saying, but I'm saying it. And one of my strengths is listening to other people, actively listening. I may not agree with you all the time, but I want to know not only what it is that you believe or that you are following or supporting, but why. Because we may not be as far apart if we are not in the same position, and we may be able to find a way that compromises to both our satisfaction. So, but ultimately, I'm hoping that everybody's goal here is the best for the city of Clarksville.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Billen, very much.
You're welcome.
Next name on the list is Zoe Jackson. Ms. Jackson, if you would, please come forward. Give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Hello, Mayor and City Council persons. My name is Zoe Jackson. I live at 3480 Hickory Glen Drive. I am honored to be here today to express my interest in the open city seat for Ward 12. I have been a resident of Ward 12 since 2018. I am a retired 20-plus year combat veteran and a Purple Heart awardee. I am the proud mother of 2 adult sons and 5 beautiful grandchildren. I am a college graduate, a business owner, the president and commander of Women Veteran of America, Clarksville, Tennessee, Chapter 2047. The NAACP Community Relations and WIN Chair, the Black Caucus Vice Chair, a board member of the Red Cross, a member of Montgomery County Veteran Coalition, a member of Clarksville, Tennessee Rotary Club, and the founder of Women in Transition Ministries. For 4 years, my passion has been volunteering, advocating, and speaking up for equity and inclusion in the workplace and within our community. I've seen firsthand and understand the challenges that our community faces, and I am eager to be a part of the decision-making that will allow the constituents of Ward 12 and the city of Montgomery County to become a better place to live, play, and raise a family. I am adamant about ensuring that all voices in my community are heard. As a mother, a woman veteran, and a member of this community, I understand the importance of representation and the power of diverse perspectives. By ensuring that I am transparent, accountable, and responsive to the needs and the concerns of the people in Ward 12, I am committed to listening to their voices of the residents so that I am able to make an informed decision on their behalf. I am passionate about using my experience and skills to help shape policies and the decisions that promote equity and opportunity for my fellow constituents. I believe in the power of collaborative leadership, working with the community members, fellow council members, and the city staff to develop creative solutions for complex challenges. If appointed, I will be committed to bringing a collaborative and inclusive approach for my work as the representative for constituents of Ward 12. I am grateful and excited about the opportunity to serve the city council persons of Ward 12. It will be an honor to have your support. Thank you for considering me, and I am open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Zoe. You have a healthy resume and look like you're in a lot of organizations that keep you busy. So how would you have the time to be a representative for Ward 12, being in all of those organizations?
Yes, ma'am. I am a great organized person, and I keep tabs very well.
Okay, all right. And my next question to you is, how do you feel about our transportation system here in Clarksville right now? Do you think that we have a good transportation system that the citizens can afford to get from A to Z? If not, what would you do to correct that?
How do I feel about the transportation system? I think it is a good transportation system. I think, like everything else, it has its issues or problems or concerns, but I do feel that it meets the majority of our citizens' needs. My son himself, being at Austin Peay, utilizes the transportation to get from point A to point B when his car is not working. I would support or be willing to hear the issues, problems, and concerns of the transportation and try my hardest to input or give an input that will best fit all citizens, to include those of Ward 12.
Okay, my next question is, what is the most pressing issue in Ward 12 that you would like to get accomplished or you want to fix?
The most pressing issue in Ward 12 is the transportation or the traffic on Wilma Rudolph.
Okay, traffic, okay.
The congestion on Wilma Rudolph, trying to find other options or avenues to minimize that traffic from backing up from point A to point B. I live on that area, and especially coming out of the area of Chick-fil-A, you get stuck there. So that would be one of the areas that I would, or problems that I feel that we need some help.
So how you want to fix it?
One of the reasons one of the ways I think that we could fix that is having a survey done in reference to other options of putting a light up or finding another way to utilize or direct the traffic from bottling up that bottleneck right there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Jackson. If you are appointed to this particular position for almost 2 years, do you plan on running in 2024 for a term?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes. Hi, Ms. Jackson. Thank you. And my question is basically what I've asked everyone else, it's a lot of details. Would you like me to read it again, or?
Yes, please.
Okay, so on tonight's agenda, we're considering 2 resolutions and an ordinance regarding the annexation and rezoning of approximately 208 acres between Merriweather Road, Oakland Road, I-24, Wilma Rudolph, and Cracker Barrel Drive. There is approximately 1 mile of right-of-way along I-24, but this is a significant amount of land to build on. They are requesting to rezone 72.38 acres from agriculture, which is farming, to C2, which allows businesses and apartments, which could yield approximately 1,100 apartments and a population of approximately 2,592. This is a maximum, and there is almost a mile right of way, so it's really a kind of a estimate. They're also requesting to rezone 16.25 acres to C4, which is hotels and other businesses, which will be a total of 71.83 acres in that area for C4. If you were going to write a letter to the city council members regarding this initiative, what would be your concerns and how would you like us to vote and why?
My first concern would be the traffic. Wilma Rudolph going all the way down and all the way up is already very overpopulated. And to add that many more cars to the road without a different way or different navigation away from that intersection on 24 would be a concern of mine, and I'm quite sure that it would be concern of the constituents of Ward 12. So I would write in asking that a survey be done for a different direction or different traction away from that area, a different point to go around that area. I am for rezoning, but rezoning that benefits everyone. Rezoning that will eliminate that bottleneck of traffic. We would sit in traffic once again for hours.
All right. And then my other question, and I know that you're doing a lot in the community, so really you've already kind of shown the answer to that question. But how do you plan to keep in touch with your constituents? You guys, as I said, really have to build a base where some of us who ran kind of brought one in with us to start with.
Like the others said before me, it would be more in town hall, but we would utilize, or I would utilize different ways. The internet would be one. Sending out little posts, weekly posts would be another one. Quarterly town hall meetings would be one. Making sure that the constituents stayed informed through communication, reminders of what's going on, reminding them to read and post or in our local Facebook channels of different issues or concerns that was happening within Ward 12.
All right. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Right here. I just want to know your strengths and weaknesses.
My strength is fighting for others. I'm a big advocate for fighting for those that do not have a voice. I would say my weaknesses would be not knowing when not to fight.
We got the same strengths and weaknesses, girl.
So that will be a weakness for me.
Got it.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. What accomplishment are you most proud of?
The raising of my 2 boys.
Thank you.
Oh, loving on my grandbabies too. But,
Well, I was waiting for Wanda. She just got her.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you.
Next name on the list is David Webb. Mr. Webb, if you would please come forward. Give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
What a privilege. Can we get the heat down?
Yes. Ryan, Mr. Pulley, can you adjust the air conditioning, make it a little warmer in here? Just a little. Okay, Mr. Webb, you're recognized.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is David Webb. I live at 3713 South Jot Drive. I'm an Air Force combat veteran. I went to Austin Peay State University, where I obtained my Bachelor's of Science. I'm one of the original 6 candidates that ran for Ward 12 back in 2020. And even though I didn't win that bid for Ward 12, I've never stopped working for Ward 12. I worked on everything from street lights to ADA issues, traffic issues, building and code issues. You know, the ones where neighbors have problems with other neighbors. And our disabled military veterans with VA issues. There's a few things that I'd like to see. I spoke with Councilwoman Allen, an ADA committee here. I feel that ADA's lacking here and that we could do a better job. And Mayor, thank you for meeting with the leadership of Buc-ee's. I've been tracking with that. I'm really hoping that they're going to be willing to assist with upgrading the road system out there at Exit 1. And if for some reason that doesn't go through, I'd like to see your transportation plan accelerated, because we've got folks dying out at Exit 1 and getting extremely injured all the time, and it's definitely something that needs to be taken care of. And I'm all about being fiscally responsible. A lot of what I'm telling you folks here is what the people at Ward 12 told me. I did a little bit of door knocking with my team while I was out here, so I got some signatures for you guys. To reiterate, the people of Ward 12, they're very concerned about the traffic issues, and that's something that we've got to address sooner and not later. And I'm open to questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Any questions for Mr. Webb? Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, hello, Mr. Webb, how are you?
Doing very well.
So, just sticking with the same theme, would you like me to read it again, or?
No, ma'am.
So the basic question is, how, if you were to write a letter, how would you address this issue, and what, and why?
If I'm not appointed for the Ward 12 position, I'd urge this council to please vote no on that. I'm not going to say in the history of Clarksville, but I don't think that there's ever been a point in time where we've wrote a blank check for a developer and just allowed them to build supposedly whatever they want to put on there. Here in Ward 12, especially, we have 0 parks here. So if we were going to put something on that property, I'd like to see some parks for the kids.
And then, back to keeping in touch with your constituents, do you have anything? I know everybody's kind of like already said things, but what would be your, I guess, main avenue?
Back in 20, it worked, and it's currently working. Set up a Facebook page and actively engage the community with polls, and you know, you can share information as far as what's going out. We've got that TDOT meeting coming up on May the 16th about the road widening on Trenton Road there. So I mean, I've shared that out to Clarksville Chat and Clarksville Speaks, so that way we can keep the public informed. That's an important one right there.
Thank you.
Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you for that introduction there, Mr. Webb. My question to you, if you are appointed for this particular seat, do you intend to run in 2024?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Webb, for coming forth and sharing your ideologies and your thoughts about what you want to do. So I know you are in Ward 12. So I know if you were elected, what do you want to do right away?
I'd like to see about moving this transportation a little bit quicker. I mean, we're in Tier 1 right now. Is that correct, Mayor? I'd like to see it move a lot quicker than that. I know that Exit 1 area, I believe, is in Tier 1. I'd like to accelerate that.
Tell me how you could do it quicker, and where you gonna get the funds and how you gonna fund it. Tell me about how
Well,
you're
I'm all
gonna get it,
about-
because we're looking for that too.
I'm all about being fiscally responsible. I do believe in budget cuts
I mean, but
instead of raising taxes.
where you gonna cut the budget?
Well, I mean, we've got golf courses. There are private golf courses here in Clarksville. So why do we need to fund public golf courses?
Do you realize that most of the streets in Clarksville are state streets?
Yes, ma'am, I do. And there's county and
And
there's
so
a
how you
department
gonna
for each of them.
overjump the state who has authority over their streets? How do you overjump that? How do you overdo the red tape?
You
How
gotta
do you
set
get
a
past-
meeting and work together.
We've already done all that. You don't have authority over the state.
Well, if you've done all you can do, you've done all you can do.
I know, but you said you wanted to get it moving right away. So there are
that-
some things you just can't get moved right away. I appreciate what you're saying, but that's just not gonna work. It won't work. And my other question to you is, what is the hardest choice you have made, even in the Air Force? I mean, not in the Army. Yeah, you was in the Air Force.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the hardest choice you have made
I
that
prob-
that helped someone else along the way?
I'd say running for Ward 12 back in 20.
I say when you was in the Air Force, sir.
I was in the Air Force.
When you ran for Ward 12, what have
Oh,
you
you
done?
talking about when I was in the Air
When
Force?
you was in the Air Force, what is the hardest choice you have made to help someone else along the way?
Helping a airman go up before or below the zone board. That's basically when you test for rank for staff sergeant. The time and grade requirements get waived in order to be able to put on rank earlier.
Is that the only thing you've done? For us,
I
sir?
I honestly can't think of anything right now.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilperson Allen. You're recognized.
So this time I'm not gonna, you said something about the city writing a blank check when we were talking about the zoning that we're looking at. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, usually when a developer, they come up here, they tell us what they want to do with it. And this developer, he put out proposals. Well, it could be for apartments. Well, it could be for a VA hospital. I specifically want what the developer intends to put there, because I mean, I know that there's a traffic study being done, or at least that's what I understand. But you've got to accommodate for all that. You can't just. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but I mean, I wouldn't want to just let somebody build whatever they want on there.
Even if it's their property? Even if they own it privately, that's their owned property? It's not the city's.
Yeah, I do understand that, but sometimes there needs to be a no vote on something.
Okay. So what are your strengths and weaknesses?
My strengths is I'm determined, I'm hardworking, I'm loyal. I'd say one of my weaknesses is sometimes I look at a problem and I'll take the hardest way around it when the solution was staring me right in the face.
Okay, that's your weakness?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you. You've had some tough questions.
Yes, ma'am.
What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Back in 2003, I was selected as the Fuels Airman of the Year for the entire command.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. I think that's all of the questions we have for you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Next name is Carrie Lovato. Ms. Lovato, if you would, please come forward, give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Carrie Lovato. My address is 1007 Hendricks Court, Clarksville, Tennessee, 37040. And tonight I am requesting to represent Ward 12. I have owned my home in Ward 12 and I've lived there with my 4 children since 2012. 3 of my children attend Northeast elementary schools. I've also worked in Clarksville since 2013 as an insurance agent. I am also the founder of a networking group that focuses on the success of local businesses, nonprofits, and professionals. I'm also in the beginning stages of creating a second group that focuses strictly on the women of our community and supporting the Safe House program. I have also overseen multiple fundraisers for other nonprofit organizations over the last couple of years. So I come to you with experience of helping people of all walks of life, being mindful of strict budgets, prioritizing needs over wants, and helping people through their toughest times. So when it comes to the city government and its influence, I come to you with more questions than I do answers at this point, but I'm dedicated to learning and talking to city experts to figure things out because there are several issues that I'm passionate about and I want to learn more. One, I live really close to the Northeast schools, which is great because my kids enjoy walking to school. So how can we make that safer and accessible? And also, what can we do to expand parks and recreation? And how can we expand it into Ward 12? 2, our city is growing, and that includes Ward 12. And so are we supporting our police and our fire departments to the best of our abilities? And do they need more support from us? 3, I have made it a big part of my personal mission to bring together business owners and to share resources with them and support them. So can our city government do more to help them put their best foot forward? The success of our local businesses and nonprofits is very important to me. Since 2020, we've all seen some tough times, and I have watched firsthand their struggles, but also their perseverance. Their success stories are our success stories, and I am really grateful to be able to watch those in real time. Ward 12 deserves representation from someone who will keep them informed, who will listen to their concerns, and who will vote in their best interest. I believe successful communication to constituents comes in all forms, in-person town halls, newsletters, emails, phone conversations, and social media. Most importantly, I am committed to the mission of the people of Ward 12 and all of Clarksville. I am not someone who will make hasty decisions. I come prepared to review and research issues prior to voting, and I am also able to give the time needed to serve this position. The citizens of Clarksville deserve council people who are fair and impartial and who look out for the rights of everyone. I am new to the city government, but I had already made the decision that I was going to run for Ward 12 about a year ago because I do enjoy serving my community. The decisions made in this room directly affect families just like mine, and I would be honored to be part of that decision-making process. So thank you for listening to me tonight, and thank you all for your service to our community.
Thank you. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Wow, thank you for that great resume. I see that you were a Girl Scout troop leader.
Yes.
I used to be in the Girl Scouts too. So I like that. My question to you is, I know you say you're about learning and everything. Do you know what an ordinance is versus a resolution?
I do not, no.
Okay. Okay. It's okay. We learn. And also, do you think that our downtown is healthy? And if not, what would you like to see downtown here? That's in my ward. So I want to know, what do you think about our downtown right now?
I love our downtown. I love the businesses that are coming to downtown. I think that it is thriving. I think that just like most places in Clarksville, traffic is an issue. So what can we do to ease some of that, especially with the new arena coming?
Mm-hmm. So you think we need what do you think about the new garage that we're proposing to build? Do you think we need to build that?
I do think that we need better parking options in downtown, yes.
Oh, okay. And so how long you been living in Clarksville?
Since 2012. I've lived in the same house the whole time. So.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Well, I have one more question. What have you accomplished that you're proud of?
I would say the networking group that I referred to, Clarksville Business Allies, I started that in May of 2020, right when COVID was hitting the fan. So seeing those businesses come together and supporting each other and watching their success stories, that's been one of my biggest accomplishments.
And what have you done to help somebody in this area in Clarksville? What have you done in this community to help somebody that's in need?
So one of the things that I started, it is called Project 413. Project 413 is a group that is going to support the women of Clarksville, but it also supports the Safe House program. So what we are doing right now is we are working closely with the Safe House program to bring awareness to the domestic violence issues and to raise money to expand their program. Right now, the Safe House program is turning people away, people who need those emergency services. So that's been a huge passion for me for about the last 6 months.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation there, Ms. Lovato. And I know you mentioned in your presentation that about a year ago that you had made your mind up that you was going to run for this seat. Mm-hmm. So if appointed, are you still going to run in 2024?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Hello, thank you. My question isn't going to change. Do I need to read it for you?
No, you don't.
So just a reminder is I'm asking what if you were going to contact your city council, what would you, regarding this initiative, what would be your concerns and how would you ask us to vote?
Just like everyone else has mentioned, the concern is the traffic and what would happen to our roads. So at this point, without being able to talk to department heads and the experts, I would vote no on that.
Okay. And I understand that you already have a lot of activity with groups, so you can obviously organize. But what is your plan to keep in touch or to reach out, and start building your capacity to communicate with your constituents?
In-person town halls, newsletters, emails, phone conversations, door knocking, and reluctantly social media.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you. What is the accomplishment that you're most proud of?
Well, my 4 children, they're great. I'm very proud of them. But also, like I said, Clarksville Business Allies is a huge passion for me. Just watching all of these business owners come together and support each other, that's been a big accomplishment for me.
Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I just need to know your strengths and weaknesses.
So right now, my weakness as a new city council person would be that I am new to the government and there are lots of things that I need to learn. My strength is that I have the ability to listen to people who I disagree with and come to fair compromises. Also, again, my strength is I do not make hasty decisions. I like to do my research and be prepared with voting.
Okay, seeing no more questions, Ms. Lovato, thank you very much. Next name on the list is Kenneth Point. Mr. Point? If you would give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
Other than letting the councilman, the members know that I'm a veteran of the United States Army for 28 years, 2 months. I'm a retired postal worker for 21 years. And other than that, I'm a team player, and I'm here to hopefully, prayerfully join the team to do what we need to do as a city to serve our community.
Thank you, Mr. Point. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
So, Mr. Point, thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. I don't have your resume, but that's okay. I like what you said. You're a team player. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I sure do.
Okay. You're a team player. You used to be a postal service worker, and I did too. And I like that team player ideology. Can you share with me something that you have done as a team player to make a difference in the community or somewhere that you have worked? Can you share an idea?
Yes, ma'am. Of course, as a postal worker and as a postal clerk and a postal carrier, working through the winter months here in Clarksville is not always easy, but we had to come together as a team to make sure that our mail was delivered every day through all conditions. And so as a team, we came together and we made that happen.
I'm talking about for in the community. I'm not
Well,
talking
in the
about
community,
as a poster.
I'm known throughout my community. I wear several hats. I'm the grass cutter in my local community. In my church, I'm a leader at the church. I work with the teens. I work with the 5 to 11-year-olds. I'm a teacher with those guys. I work in the parking lot ministry. I'm an usher at my church. So that's my community that benefits there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I can imagine that you know this city very well, being a postal worker.
My job was at Fort Campbell, ma'am.
Oh, unfortunately.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm not changing my questions. Would you like me to read it again?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Fine. On tonight's agenda, we're considering 2 resolutions and an ordinance regarding the annexation and rezoning of approximately 208 acres between Meriwether Road, Oakland Road, I-24, Wilma Rudolph, and Cracker Barrel. That land in there.
Yes, ma'am.
There's approximately 1 mile or more of right-of-way along I-24, but this is still a significant amount of land. They are requesting 72.38 acres for C2, which at a maximum yield would be approximately 1,100 apartments, and a population of 2,592. Remember, this is the maximum because it's not taking into consideration the right-of-way. They are also requesting to rezone 16.25 acres to C4, which will allow them to build hotels, gas stations, things like that in this area. If you are going to write a letter to your city council person regarding this initiative, what would be your concerns and how would you ask them to vote and why?
Well, first of all, ma'am, if we're gonna do any growth, I want to make sure we do it the smart way. We need to do it smart because we're already suffering throughout our community, our area, Ward 12, because of the growth that we have already in the city. So we need to be smart about what we're doing. And we need to support the initiatives that will improve. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then my other question is, as an elected person, what would be your plan to reach out to your constituents regarding, some of us, as I said earlier, we do newsletters, others do Facebook, some do a great combination of face-to-face and newsletter. So what would be your initiative to reach out to your constituents, introduce yourself, and share information?
I will utilize Facebook and email.
Okay.
Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, sir.
How you doing, sir?
My question, if you are appointed to this position, do you intend to run for office in 2024?
Councilman, I would reserve the right to do at least 6 months, like my fellow said, so I can see how it goes, see the effect that it has, and what I can offer in the 6 months, the initial 6 months, before I make the decision.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Hi,
Hi,
I
ma'am.
just want to know your strengths and weaknesses.
Well, my strength, I think, will be people. I'm very good with, at least I think I'm good with people. Interacting with them, communicating with them, supporting them. Most of the time, if they're right, I'll support right, not wrong. So that's my strengths. Then my weakness, because I love everybody, then I'm sometimes taken advantage of.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello.
How you doing, ma'am?
What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Well, ma'am, I would say graduating college when I was 54, the first of my family tree to graduate college. So that's pretty amazing.
Good for you. Maybe there's hope for me still.
Absolutely, ma'am. Never give up.
Councilperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Point, you said something about growth and you said we should do it the smart way.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the smart way?
Well, ma'am, I think we need to get our heads together, our hearts together, and think about what we can do the best for the city overall. And as a team, we have to come up with that resolution or that resolve that as a team, we have to consider all that's going to be involved.
So what you're really saying is that we as a city council is not a team and we don't come together with our head and our hearts. So I'm trying to figure out what other than that, because we do come together here.
Yes, ma'am.
And we do think things out and we do discuss things.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you look at the city council meetings?
Do I look at them?
Yeah.
Not yet, ma'am.
You haven't looked at one of them. So therefore, you didn't know that we do work together,
Well, I hope
thinking
so,
and
ma'am.
trying to discuss. How do you think we've gotten a lot of stuff done thus far?
Well, I'm sure you do, ma'am.
Okay, so I was trying to think of something, the smart way you was talking about.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Point. We're now ready for Ms. Porter Clark. And I'm going to ask you to come forward and help me pronounce your first name. If you'll give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Yasia Faye Porter Clark, and I live at 1465 Kingsbury Drive, Clarksville, Tennessee, 37040. And I am here today because once the mass shooting happened in Nashville, Tennessee, some of you may remember I came to that next city council meeting expressing, my concerns. I have a 3-year-old son and a bonus daughter who is 5. And so I want to make sure we were doing everything that we can as a city council to ensure that our children are safe. which a lot of you educated me on what we're doing, what our limitations are, everything from that. But I also stood here that day and said I wanted to volunteer my services. I had no idea that there was a vacancy in Ward 12. I had no idea that I was in that ward, and I hope I did my research correctly when I looked it up. But what I did do is, based on some of those conversations that we had, I started to look for ways that I, as a member of the Clarksville community, can participate to make sure my concerns are heard, but not just heard, that I am part of the solutions that are derived, and that I am doing what needs to be done to make sure that every individual in the city of Clarksville feels safe, including those individuals in Ward 12. Some of my background. So I am a native of Nashville, Tennessee. My husband's family is from Clarksville, Tennessee. When we decided to buy our first home, we decided to come back home. And so we've been here. I have not been here as long as some of the other members of Ward 12. I've been here a year come April. So I'm fresh. I'm not going to get up here and act like I have this whole community service background in the city of Clarksville. But what I do have is community service background, period. I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And one thing we know about that sorority, they are dedicated to scholarship, sisterhood, and service. So service is part of my background. I attended MTSU for my undergraduate. I attended Howard University and got my MBA, and I'm currently enrolled in Trevecca getting my doctorate. So I definitely believe in being involved. I have a higher education background. I have worked at Howard University. I have worked at Meharry Medical College, currently working as a consultant in higher education for doctors. I love children. And that's what pushed me to go ahead and want to do something for my community, because they are the future. And as cliche as that sounds, one day my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old, they'll be adults. And I'm hoping that they see in my leadership and in my parenthood, me being actively involved in my community, I hope that they see me do something that saves the community, and then in return, they want to do that themselves. I think we do have a gap with individuals wanting to kind of be involved, and I want to reinstill that in my family and in my community. And I will open the floor for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Porter Clark. Councilperson Smith, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Porter, you gave us a good resume about you, and I appreciate that. You seem to be well diverse and knowing about things around you. What do you want to see happen in Ward 12?
Great question. So based on what I have currently observed, we have a lot of different communities, so a lot of different subdivisions. I want to bring that together and create a wholeness. I think you have to do that outside of just town halls. You have to kind of meet the people where they are. So I kind of believe in a grassroots approach, getting out there in the community and doing things that benefit the community outside of just keeping them updated about issues at the city level. One thing in my division, I live in the Summerfield division. We just had a community yard sale where, a lot of the different neighbors in the community got together, did a yard sale. We had food trucks around at the Tylertown Learning Center community. And what we did was we just got together and had like this community affair where we were really just creating a synergy of brotherly and sisterly love. And that's what my approach would be in some regard, is actually trying to come together, bring the community together, and address some of their concerns outside of the ones that kind of make the formal agenda.
That sounds good. So what are the issues over there?
So, of course, everyone's saying transportation. But I think we have to educate our constituents on what the options are. To Councilman Reynolds' question, which I hope I'm not jumping the gun here by kind of addressing it. But growth is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I have seen Nashville transform tremendously. And I think that's a living case study right there. Let's look at what they did right and what they did wrong in order to be able to make a formal, educated decision on how we approach it. You don't want to stifle growth. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because then you stifle the opportunities for your community, you stifle economic development, you stifle, economic development opportunities, as well as, property increases in, property value and all of that. So you don't want to rush and just say no because you have a hindrance or you have a obstacle. You have to figure out a way around that obstacle. And you have cities that have grown tremendously, and you can look at what they did right and what they did wrong to come up with a solution that works for you. And it's not just Nashville. You have Murfreesboro, that has that congestion. I'm MTSU, Blue Raider. I know exactly what it was like. It's kind of the infrastructure, just like how Clarksville is. One, just a few exits in and a few exits out, and you have this big college community and all of this traffic. They have expanded, and they're still expanding. But we can look at these cities, and not just the Tennessee cities. You can look at cities, in Georgia, Atlanta, all of these places that are having this growth, this wild growth. Look to see what they did right, what they did wrong, and find your shining star in that.
Okay. One more question. You say you're Delta Sigma Theta.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I know they strong people, but they stood me up. They supposed to perform for me, and they stood me up. Didn't call, didn't let me know nothing. So I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
Maybe
Sorry about that on behalf of the sorority.
That's all right. It wasn't your sorority. But anyway, what have you done to make a difference in your community as a leader?
So, I can't say Clarksville directly because I've only been
Well,
here
your
a year.
community where you are.
Okay. As a member at MTSU, we connected with the Samaritan Purse, and we did fundraisers through the Alderton chapter of Delta Sigma Theta to collect perishable goods, non-perishable goods for the community. I am also AME 13 district. This Clarksville is part of the 13th district. If you didn't know, I was the YPD director, YPD president for the 13th district. We did a lot of community service through that, as well as through my sorority. So I've done different community service acts. I also like to just do things for mothers. I am a mom, and I was going to answer your question a little bit. This might spill into that.
Okay.
But no matter how much of a great example you have, my parents were great. Once you become a parent, you still realize you don't know what you're doing. Like you kind of just have to roll with the punch and figure things out. And so I know what that feels like. Me and my husband was just talking the other day about, I don't remember much of the first year of my son's life because I was just going. I wanted to make sure I was doing everything right. So I think that's how I dealt with it. Maybe like the postpartum, I was just on go. And I have seen other mothers do that. And I try to step in and say, hey, slow down. The nights are long, but the days are short. You don't want to end up in a situation kind of where I ended up, where I just didn't remember much. I have to go back and look at the videos. So I try to intervene a lot there, from giving away clothes to doing babysitting just to give them a break. My line sisters, when I had my son, they came those first few weeks, they came and just sat there with me. So if I needed to take a nap, they were rocking the babies. That's what I like to do because I feel like it makes the biggest difference. So that's what I would say I have done for my community and would like to continue to do as well.
One more question. What do you think about Section 8 homes in a community? And what do you think about that versus a lot of rental properties? And can you tell me what an unstable neighborhood looks like to you?
Yes, ma'am. So I am not against it. Let me tell you why.
That's right.
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. There was a portion of our life where we had to live in Preston Taylor. I'm not sure if any of you know what Preston Taylor is.
Project.
But here I am working on my doctorate. So I think from time to time we have a tendency to stereotype individuals who need benefits and assistance, but we also have to understand if you're doing it correctly, you are really building and planting a seed into someone's future. I thank God for that time because it allowed my mom to get herself on her feet to do what she needed to do to continue to sow and plant into us. And now I am doing what I needed to do and plant into my son. I do think there are challenges with some benefits. I think we need to make sure it's balanced. The individuals don't take advantage of the system, but we shouldn't remove the system because there is a need. You look at your community, you have homeless individuals, you have needs for public transportation. So we do have needs out there, and just removing the system without putting something in place that really supports and builds up the community is problematic. But I do think we have to make sure that you don't allow anyone to take advantage of that.
Right.
Housing is an issue. One of the reasons why I'm here is I couldn't afford a home in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm born and raised there. But if we work on creating systems that really help push people up, I think our communities will thrive a lot more. But right now, we got price gauging and all of that type of stuff happening. So
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Shekina, you're recognized.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
good evening.
My question, if you are appointed to this position in 2 years, 2024, do you intend to run?
Well, I hope I will be doing such a good job that the members of the ward wouldn't allow me not to run. But yes, I would like to continue to build on the work that I'm doing,
Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Well, you basically answered my questions. I just wanted to give you the opportunity if you wanted to add anything. I mean, I feel like you answered basically both my questions, but how do you keep in touch and the growth issue? But I feel that you answered them.
Okay. I do want to add on how I would keep in touch because I've actually been thinking about that. Again, like I'm new here, so everything will be new for me. But what I would like to do is start by reaching out to businesses and churches. And the reason why is, churches have memberships, businesses, have faithful customers. I feel like it will be a little easier to get the message out like, hey, I'm here, by reaching out, getting to know them, letting them pass the message on. But I also want to kind of pull some tricks from history. So you had the fireside chats, really kind of putting those up, using social media to kind of put that out there. Like, this is what's going on this week. I'm working on my doctorate. I'm a mother. I may not have time every week to get a newsletter out, but it's nothing. I mean, we all probably, well, I don't want to say assume you all have Instagram or Facebook, but we all probably at some point have did a video checking in. Like, I do it often when I pick up my son. Hey, this is what King did at school today, and that takes 5 minutes of your time, if that. And so I think it's important to kind of provide those updates weekly if you can, even if it's just a, hey, I'm riding down the street on Wilma Rudolph or Trenton. This is something I see. Of course, I wouldn't do it while I'm driving, but just really staying engaged and just putting it out there. Because again, you have to create buy-in. So one thing I have learned working in my professional career, just because something is a good idea doesn't mean someone will support it. And just because something is a good idea doesn't mean someone understands it. So you have to do what you have to do to kind of get those messages out there. And you have to use what works. For some people, having a meeting and breakfast works. For some people, just sending me the bullet points work. So you have to kind of do some of it all. And making sure that you reach everyone, because the same mechanism won't work for all.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So while you're not my sorority sister, you are my great sister. What are your strengths and weaknesses? I've heard a lot of them, but I want to hear what you feel like your strengths and weaknesses are.
Okay, so I would say strategic thinking is my strength. I'm always thinking, probably overthinking if you ask my husband, but I'm always thinking. And a lot of times I can see the facts, the details. I think outside of the box because I feel like you just have to. Like this generation, they don't want just traditional, ordinary. And then we also are just not dealing with traditional and ordinary problems. School shooters were rare when I was growing up. Now it's reoccurring often. So you have to think outside the box. And I think I'm a strategic thinker and I do that. What my weakness or area of opportunity, as I would like to say, is I believe I can do it all. And that can be an area of opportunity because we all know we can't. Your body will say, hey, slow down. You also just have other time commitments. It's times where I need to be a wife and a mother. And so I have had to learn how to balance, somebody needs your help. You can't always just jump out there and do it. You have to make sure, it makes sense. But I have learned how to balance that. And so the older I get and the more time passes, I feel like I'm getting better at just balancing everything.
Thank you for telling me how you overcome your weakness.
Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you. What is an accomplishment you're most proud of?
I'm going to do what everyone says, my son, but not just because he's great. And my bonus story, not just because they're great, but because it has taught me a lot. And children will stretch you, stress you, but they love you like unconditionally. And it has taught me patience. It has taught me, the importance of just being organized, but also going with the flow. I think a lot of times we don't know how to do that, especially when you're talking about meetings and being structured. You have to be structured. Kids will come in and ruin the structure really quickly. And so that motherhood journey has really just taught me a lot that I have been able to transfer into every other area of my life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Porter Clark. That's all the questions we have for you. I'm at the end of my list. Is there anyone else that wants to be considered? Seeing none, I'll remind you that next Wednesday, May the 10th at 4:30 p.m., the council will convene a special session to vote and select the next representative from Ward 12. We're now ready for the next item on our agenda, Planning Commission report. Councilperson Streetman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 9 ordinances and resolutions on our agenda tonight. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances and resolutions?
Ordinance 107, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders Incorporated for zone change on property located at the intersection of Needmore Road and Trenton Road from C2 Commercial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 108, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Mayville and Amanda Whitehurst for zone change on property located on a parcel fronting the south frontage of High Street, 525 plus or minus feet south of the Crossland Avenue and High Street intersection from R3, 3-family residential district, to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 109, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Meadows and Stephen Tyler Dennis for zone change on property located at 3 parcels fronting Everett Drive, south of Hemlock Drive, from R1, single-family residential district, to R6, single-family residential district. Ordinance 110, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of James Burkett for zone change on property located on property fronting New South Drive, approximately 465 feet south of Highway 76, from C4 Highway Interchange District to C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 111, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of regional holdings for zone change on property located at a parcel fronting Oak Street, approximately 240 feet south of B Street, from R3, 3-family residential district, to R4, multiple family residential district. Ordinance 112, 2022-23, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Raphael Porter and TLRG Properties for zone change on property located at the northeast corner of the Ford and 9th Street intersection from R3, 3-family residential district, to R2A, single-family residential district. Resolution 57, 2022-23, a resolution adopting a plan of service for parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. Resolution 56, 2022-23, a resolution annexing parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24, and Ordinance 106, 2022-23, first reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, apportioning the city of Clarksville for the purpose of electing persons for the office of city council member, recently annexed territories.
Before I come to you, Councilperson Streetman, let the record reflect that Councilperson Redd is present. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move we go into public hearing.
Motion been made to go into public hearing, and without objection, we are in public hearing. First item on our public hearing agenda is Ordinance 107, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 107? Mr. Rita, give us your name and address, and you know the drill. 5 minutes.
Good evening, Ricky Rita, 2510 Lylewood Road. I'm gonna be real quick and simple here. Moved the car lot off of North 2nd Street, and we're wanting to put the home builders and the car lot back over there on Trenton and Needmore Road. I'm asking for your permission this evening. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Rita? Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, hi. I was at the RPC meeting and there was concern about the entrances. Did you continue that conversation, or were you waiting for the zoning?
No, we moved through. We got a meeting next, I don't know the time on the day, but we got a meeting next week. I wrote down with the street department with the board to see exactly what's going on with that entrance in and out.
Because they had originally said only on Needmore, is that correct?
That's what they originally said.
Yeah,
yes.
and okay.
And if maybe we could have one, it would only be an exit out on Trenton. So that's what we're going to ask for.
All right.
Good question.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 107? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 107? Next item is ordinance 108, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Mayfield and Amanda Whitehurst. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 108? Give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Robert Mayville, address 1615 Porter Avenue, one of the primary applicants for this rezoning. As I mentioned to the Regional Planning Commission, including councilpersons Streetman and Reynolds just last week, a goal for my fiance Amanda Whitehurst and I is to build some single-family homes in Ms. Smith's ward here that will give us a home while I continue to work at Fort Campbell, put some more rooftops closer to downtown in an area where mixed-use development has already been effective, and put us somewhere where we can raise a family and be closer to the businesses that we like to support. Happy to answer any questions that the council has. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayfield. Councilperson Smith, you're
Thank
recognized.
you, Mayor. You said single-family homes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Mayfield? Thank you, sir.
Thank
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 108? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 108? Next item is ordinance 109, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Meadows and Stephen Tyler Dennis. Put my teeth in so I can talk. Stephen Tyler Dennis. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 109? If you will, give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name's Rob Meadows, 3340 Port Royal Road, Adams, Tennessee. I'm here to answer any questions that you've got. We'd like to change the zoning. Open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Meadows. Any questions for Mr. Meadows? Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. How many units are you looking at?
Undetermined at this time. There's 3 lots there. We'd like to transform it into at least 6, maybe 7 is what we've been talking about. Okay. There's a pretty good ditch on one side of it, so we might not even be able to get that. It just depends on what we can do with it.
Topography and all that good stuff. Okay. All righty. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you. And if I put you on the spot here, especially since y'all haven't planned it all out, I'm understandable of that. But have y'all kind of decided maybe which direction the homes are going to be facing? Are they all going to be facing one way, or because I know this is a corner, these parcels are on the corner. Will some face one and some face the other?
I think it would be both. And I don't know how many on Cleveland and how many on Everett.
Yes, sir. I wasn't going to ask you with that far. I just wanted to kind of get an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Meadows? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 109? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 109? Next item is ordinance 110, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of James Burchett. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 110? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 110? Next item is ordinance 111, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Regional Holdings LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 111? Anyone in the audience wish? Give us your name and address. You know the drill. 5 minutes.
All right, Richard Garrett, 1488 Collins View Way. This here is a similar rezoning to the one I came by, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months ago. It's an adjoining property to that R4 project we recently rezoned from R3 to R4. We had the opportunity to acquire this one as well, which will enable us to fix some of the infrastructure coming down B Street and to tap into Oak Street to make the parking and driveway situation a little bit better for those that'll be Once we build the B Street complex, so we're looking to do 7 units on this one, 7 on that. So it'll be a total of 14 units right there on Oak Street. Like I said, by having this, it enable us to have a nice little driveway to connect to Oak Street instead of them trying to cut through 185 and 191 Oak Street's parking lot to get in and out. But I'm open to any questions that you may have about the project.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
So you building duplexes or apartments or what, Mr. Gary?
They're going to be apartments, so it'll be 7 townhouses.
7 townhouses.
Yes, ma'am.
Any opposition? Have you talked to anybody that you know had any oppositions?
No opposition. I talked to so 185, 191 Oak Street, I own those. Then 506 B Street, I manage that property. It's also a quadplex, so there's a total of 12 units that I'm involved with that connect to it. And then the adjoining property on the other side of B Street, I spoke with him because I'm going to, in the site development phase of this, I'm going to be acquiring a 5-foot easement from him on his parcel, which will give me 25-foot worth of road frontage on B Street. And, all he asked me to do is hook him up with a better parking. Because right now, have you come down Oak Street, then you make that left on B Street, the parking is terrible. They're on street parking because there's not really a parking pad. So by being able to come in and extend that road, I'll be able to tap in from my the property I manage on 506 B Street, give them a parking pad. And he's like, well, why you in there with pavement? We'll give you the 5-foot, just hook them up with a parking pad. So he's great with it. The rest of the surrounding neighbors, a lot of them are tenants, renters. And, I've knocked and tried to, when I'm checking on my properties, it's just, I haven't been able to reach them. So I've left business cards and flyers. They never respond. So I'm assuming they just don't care.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Garrett? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 111? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 111? Next item is Ordinance 112, 2022-23, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Raphael Porter, TLRG Properties. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 112? Mr. Porter, give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Raphael Porter, and I own 1603 Northridge Court, Clarksville, Tennessee, 37042. Myself and my wife own TLRJ Properties, LLC. We're looking to do most likely 3 affordable single-family houses. And similar to the one that we did before in the Red River District. We changed our plan and went with what the residents wanted and the regional planning wanted to do to change it to single family. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Porter? Councilperson Smith, you
Thank
recognize.
you, Mayor. Mr. Porter.
Yes, ma'am.
You and I have talked a pretty, not long, but we've talked.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've seen one of your houses. Now this one is in my area, y'all. So, but I think that what you've done, you really are cooperating with the new comprehensive plan that we put together.
Yes, I have changed my plans.
And I appreciate that. And the neighbors and residents, they thank you for that because we are trying to build up over there. We're not trying to bring in gentrification. We're trying to infill with single-family homes, which is needed, and Section 8 homes. And you have a beautiful one over there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I just want to reiterate, thank you for respecting the plan and changing your request.
Any other comment or question for Mr. Porter? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 112? Anyone wish to speak against Ordinance 112? Next item is Resolution 57, 2022-23, a resolution adopting a plan of service for parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of Resolution 57, which is the plan of service? If you would give us your name and address, you have 5 minutes.
My name is Ben Bollinger, 2628 Cox Mill Road, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. I represent the Kennedy family that owns the tract, a portion of the property that's to be annexed. Just asking for your favorable vote on that. It's been in the family for quite some time, and now they've just decided to proceed on with this next step in their life. So,
Thank you, Mr. Bollinger.
Thank you.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Bollinger. I just wanted to let you know that when it comes time to vote on this, I do plan to make a motion to postpone this for 1 month,
Okay.
so that the residents of Ward 12 can be actually represented in that vote. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to share any thoughts on
Sure.
on that.
Understandable, and I appreciate that heads up. I would respect that decision. So,
Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Sir, and I'm gonna address like a little bit of 7, 8, 9 altogether. The concerns for the density that the plan of service and then the rezoning is to the highest level of density, and there's a great deal of concern for the traffic. We've already received several emails regarding this rezoning, and I want to be very clear, I'm not opposed to the annexation. I just have concerns that as part of the rezoning, we're bringing it in at the highest density instead of bringing in it maybe at ag and then having the conversations, because usually when we see the zonings, the street department makes comments of what they want, the requirements, and we get to see some of the plan. Well, we cannot, what's the word? What did you call it?
Conditional contract
Thank you.
zoning.
I understand we can't do that, but we can control whether all the acres are C2 or it's broken up. And so I just would like to ask, like, what is the plan for I understand the C4 part, but what is the plan for the C2?
I'm not sure to be answered your question fully. I'm not real positive to what the developer determines to do on that. So one of the family member does live out there, and so they are very not necessarily concerned, but they are very active in their opinions on, they want something nice out there, and they believe that this developer can provide that. So,
okay.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir. Mr. Bollinger?
Yes,
Is that your
ma'am.
name? Are you aware what the Montgomery County School System has said about the adding more homes or apartments to this is going to overpopulate the Oakland Elementary School, which is already over capacity of 111%. They already have 7 porterhouse classrooms out there. Are y'all aware of that?
no, ma'am, I am not.
So
The
I'm just
developer
reading
probably
what
is.
we were sent, that the schools would be overpopulated. If it would make the growth, it would, as soon as they open it, it's overpopulated.
Mm-hmm.
If there were more homes built out there. Or
Yeah, I'm
residents.
unaware, so
Okay, I
the
just-
developer probably would know, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I was gonna
So,
say, why don't you check that out?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Bollinger.
Thank you.
A reminder, this is the plan of service, not the annexation resolution that comes next. So is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of Resolution 57, which is the plan of service? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 57, which is the plan of service? Next item is Resolution 56, 2022-23, a resolution annexing parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. This is the annexation resolution. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of Resolution 56? Mr. Weekly, give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes.
Vernon Wakely, 4740 Highway 41A South. It's a pleasure to be before you tonight. I want to discuss something about the city of Clarksville. Man, get voted best place to live. And if y'all notice, since that time, the industrial board comes out about every 3 months and they've got another new business bringing lots of new jobs here. And they're on the way. And these people come with it. And so we have to be prepared to serve these new people. And wherever we serve them, it creates some types of problems that we have to go through. And that's what we do at the Planning Commission when we do a site plan or a subdivision. Once you have the zoning in place, then you propose a plan, and then it's gone over by all the departments, gas and water, street department, and they come back and say, well, to support your plan, you have to do this. And you have to make a decision on my side. Hey, will this project support that kind of expense or not? And if you can support it, then you go on. And that'll be things like turning lanes, decel lanes, on the traffic side, as well as possibly traffic lights if once traffic gets to a point that it warrants a light. So that's the process that it goes forward. So tonight on this annexation, and there's only about 100 acres in the zoning. I mean, I know the annexation has 200 and something, but most of that's interstate and other areas. And I want to go over the history of this process we went through. So we have to zone it and then annex it. So we brought a proposal before the Planning Commission and requested rezoning. It's in the county, so that meant it went before the County Commission. So I spoke for it, very minimum against it. Ms. Reynolds spoke against it. She had concerns about it being zoned by the county and then being annexed by the city. So the Planning Commission still voted for approval of it. But while the next few days I thought about it, and I thought, well, I don't care if it's voted at the county or the city. If you feel like it needs to go to the city, then I withdrew it with Planning Commission approval from the County Commission and applied for annexation. And with annexation comes this zoning. And so I heeded to your request. And so here we are tonight. And we went back before the Planning Commission on the resolution, and I spoke for it. Nobody spoke against it. The departments were for it. The Planning Commission voted unanimously for it. And now I'm here tonight in my third public hearing on this same project with no opposition from the public to speak of, with a need for the city of Clarksville to fulfill, which is the jobs and the growth and the retirees that come here and expect a nice place to live. And so this is the first step, and there'll be a lot of more steps to go through before this process is finished. So tonight I'm asking for your support in this endeavor. I think it's good for Clarksville. I know it's good for helping to house all these new people coming, and as always, we'll be working with all the departments to get it hemmed up as good as possible. And I appreciate your vote. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Weekly, for that presentation. Have you offered some type of town hall for the residents that are impacted over in that area of Ward 12? Have you set up anything? Because I've been getting a lot of emails. You said you haven't had any opposition, but I've been getting a lot of emails with a lot of concerns about this annexation. And I know sometimes annexation can be a beautiful thing, sometimes it may not. So my question to you, have you had
I have not. I have not had any contact with anybody that is negative other than Ms. Reynolds.
Okay.
And so, I don't have, and then we don't have the council person there in that ward to communicate with me. But I appreciate you sharing that with me. But I have not, the public hearings, and this is the third one, sort of gives you an eye opening of the level of concern. And since there haven't been any at the public hearings, I haven't been addressed by any of them.
Okay. Thank you. Hopefully we'll have some tonight since you got a lot of candidates here. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Weekly, I did have a question. So it says C2 is 72 acres. How much of that approximately will actually be buildable? And after you take the right of way out of there?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 acres.
45 acres. So actually 45 acres for the C2. So I mean, I know we do need, so I understand, like, I am not opposed to growth and I'm not opposed to infill, but our residents, as we move into their backyards, are really the ones paying, the price for this infill. And Ward 12, for instance, has had a lot of growth and they don't have a park. So we say that everything happens and we do everything great, but we're as we infill, as council people, what we're hearing is over and over again is I don't oppose infill, I don't oppose growth, I oppose that you're building apartments where the cement goes right up to the house and there's no place for my 10-year-old to bounce a basketball, or we don't have a park to walk to. So Ward 12 has no park, the entire Ward 12 area. So those are the things, like when we bring this in one zoning, we're missing opportunities. And that's my concern. And it's overarching. Like I know that I've only been here 2 years, and I understand that some people it's 2 years, but I've only been here 2 years, and I've actually, learned a great deal. And I just think that as we infill, it's not the same as sprawl. I agree with bringing it into the city. I understand that you need the fire and safety to be able to put in that density, and I support that. But I think that as we do this, we also have to listen and respect our residents, and that's something that we're kind of missing right now.
So, as far as park goes, this particular piece of property has that area that's in the flood zone that will make a great park. As a matter of fact, in our plans, we're looking at making it, we were thinking a private park. We wouldn't mind it being a public park, but so we would be serving the residents of this community, and we could broaden it. That would be another thing that could be discussed at planning when the plan comes forward.
Okay. But I do also was talked about, we don't currently have a Ward 12 representative, so when that motion is made, I will vote to postpone because of that until we have representation to actually have a voice for the area.
That'll be good. And that sign's been up there now since they went up for the county zoning. So it's been up about 4 months on this Oakland Road, and
we have
and it'll continue on for another month. So
we have received notes from people, and I think I can share if you like, I'd be happy not to necessarily share the residents' names. Because I almost think I don't know if they'd want that, but I would share the content if you were interested.
Yes, that'd be fine.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Is your role in this, are you the engineer for this project, or are you also a partner?
I'll be a partner in it.
Okay, so can I ask you some engineering questions?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so one of the concerns that we discussed last week was the Oakland Road and the traffic that comes in and out. And almost every person that spoke to the annexation question who wants to be appointed to Ward 12 brought up the concerns about traffic. And I know whatever you say, you're not tied to, because we can't have conditional zoning, but have you and the other partners in this discussed maybe giving additional right of way for a lane to hold traffic in and out of that development? The question I asked last week was that potentially there could be 6 accesses to Oakland Road off of that whole big annexation section. So my question is, what do you think you all are willing to do to help move traffic if it is all dumping onto Oakland Road?
Yes, the 6 entrances will be well more than enough to support the 100-acre zoning request. But Oakland Road, yes, is in question. Oakland Road has just been improved, the last couple of years, where they straightened out the curve. It still is curvy, but some work's been done on it. Of course, what you're talking about is it widening. It's giving right of way for widening road, and yes, that typically comes up during the subdivision process, and it typically is agreed to, and so there won't be any problems with the development group agreeing to do that.
Okay, thank you. Now I have it on the record, so. And then, another thing is that, you know, you had mentioned you've been through several hearings, and we understand that. Problem is, a lot of people, work during the planning commission meetings. And what is unique about this, and I think why me as a person and also somebody who's been getting emails from people in that area, is that this is an accelerated process for zoning. Unlike the county, we usually have 2 reading on zoning cases, and this is all a package, a one and done situation. So I think that we're trying to do our due diligence and get our questions answered, so that we make the right decision without trying to impede progress, but at the same time making sure that we have answered questions that have come to us in emails from people that live out there. And then also I like to keep in mind all the undeveloped property we currently have in the city limits that could be developed out, and the impact on other infrastructure as well. So I appreciate everybody's patience on this, and like some other members, I was going to ask to postpone until the June 1st meeting again, so that whoever gets seated will have an opportunity. But I would encourage the partners in this to maybe reach out to the people who live in Ward 12 and maybe provide some information about what the plan potentially looks like. It's easier for people who have information to feel like they're included, and that if we do postpone till June 2nd, I feel like that would give you all an opportunity to educate people on what you plan on doing. And especially the traffic is the number one concern that at least the emails that I've received has spoken to. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Weekly. So I wanted to actually talk a little bit about the C4 section of this, because it seems like there's also a bit of concern that, again, being another high-level commercial zoning would bring in, like it's been mentioned, like hotels and other businesses of the sort. But I believe that it was also mentioned that there's a particular plan for the C4 of what you're trying to do with it.
That is correct. The C4, the VA hospital is coming to Clarksville. That's already been approved. And they've been around selecting sites, and they've not picked, but it's one of about a half a dozen sites in the running for the VA hospital. And that's why that C4 portion is as large as it is, because that's a big footprint building.
Yes.
And it takes, 30 acres of ground, and that's the impetus behind the R4 request. Now, if that doesn't, C4, excuse me. If that doesn't happen, then you see the market, the market is slow in C4. There's been development, but it has finally moved across the interstate, but it's been a slower process. And if time goes on and then the C4 is not a valid zone or one that's in demand, I would see us seeking a different zone at that time to find, to match a use that is.
Okay. And then I guess since you're trying to make this land, more, useful in order to get the VA contract, wouldn't it be, safe to say you'll fix that road issue in order for them to say, hey, I'll use you?
Yeah, like I was saying, the bigger the project, the more you are able to help the city with infrastructure and stuff, because it's economically feasible at that point.
Okay. That's pretty much what I was trying to figure out, the use of that site, because we keep talking about the C2, which is the multifamily units, but not much has been mentioned about the C4.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarity, it's a VA outpatient clinic, not a hospital.
Yeah,
Okay.
my bad.
That's all right. Not a problem. Just want to make sure we clarified for the veterans and families out there. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Weekly, you and I spoke earlier today, and I already told you that I, like others, would be asking for us to postpone this to allow for the representative for Ward 12 to be seated. I think some others have kind of touched on this just a little bit, but would you be, obviously next week we are going to be selecting that representative. Once that is done, would you be willing to, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, would you be willing to work with that individual to maybe host a town hall where they could meet with the residents to, for one, allow them to get educated a little bit in advance, but allow those residents to really be able to see? Is that something that you and or your partners might be open to doing to help get that word
sure
out?
Sure, we would be welcome that.
Thank you, sir.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I wanted to piggyback off of Ward 2 councilperson, and we talked about you talked about exits along Oakland. There's an opportunity when I look at the map to connect through Cracker Barrel Drive, which would then pull much of the traffic away from the established community. Is that something that you would consider?
Yes, it is. Oakland's vacant between this site and Wilma Rudolph, so I'm not sure how you're pulling it away from
Well,
the
then I
neighborhoods.
wouldn't have to go out to Oakland, turn and come out. I would just go to Cracker Barrel Drive where there's already a light.
Yeah.
And come out
Yes, we
there.
would. I would imagine if that got hooked up that way, there'd be a lot of cut through traffic because it's I call it the 5 light gauntlet. So everybody gets backed up. When you have 5 lights in that tight a spot,
Yeah.
you're going to have congestion. And whether some bypass the first light, trying to get ahead of the others, I'm not sure what that solves, but we'd be open to it.
Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I just have a brief question. Is there anything that would cause this to have to be voted on this month, or is it okay would it be okay to postpone it?
Well, it's like all real estate deals. I am under contract, but I see the situation that we're all in, and I will beg for an extension, and we'll see if and we'll go from there.
Councilperson Smith, you're
Thank
recognized.
you, Mayor. Mr. Weekly, it's good to see you again.
Good to see
You're the
you.
one that surveyed my land. Thank you.
Good.
Well, you got paid, but thank you.
Thank you.
But anyway, I have no problem with this land being annexed at all. I just think that you do need to talk to the residents and, just try to see where they're coming from, what they want. And teamwork makes the dream work. I always say that.
Yes.
And I have no problem with voting to annex this land, either one of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no more questions for you, Mr. Weekly.
Go Clarksville.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Resolution 56? Mr. Bateman, as you're approaching, Ryan, can you make it a little cooler in here? Yeah. Yeah, beads of sweat. Mr. Bateman, you're recognized. Give us your name and address, sir. You have 5 minutes.
My name is Thomas N. Bateman. I'm 212 Madison Street, lawyer in Clarksville. I've spoken to some of you members of the council about this matter. I want to be careful that I don't say what I should say and I don't say things I shouldn't say. But I want to make clear that I represent and own a part interest in the property that's being sought to be annexed into the city. It's 16 acres there. It is presently zoned C4. We are not asking for C2 on that property. That's 16 acres there, and it joins 16 more acres next to it. They are contiguous properties. The reason that that property is being asked to be rezoned or to be annexed is because we have a plan for that 31 acres there, including the 16 acres, that's been approved preliminarily by the Planning Commission. Part of the requirements of that was that they wanted us to have it annexed into the city. And so we were, Mr. Weekly and I, Mr. Weekly happens to be employed by us on that project. He's employed on the project to the north for the Kennedys. So we agreed for our property to be included in this request for annexation. We don't take a position on the Kennedy annexation or their rezoning, that we don't have any interest in. Might have an interest. We don't have any dog in that fight, so to speak. But I listened to this up here, and I had a call the other day from one of my joint owners, and he wondered what was going on. And we hear talks about a veterans hospital or a home or whatever it is. And, this is news to us. And I had to explain to some of my people there, we want to be clear that we don't have any prospects on that 34 acres at this time of anyone wanting to build anything there. This is C4 property. Half of it is in the county. The Planning Commission, as part of preliminary approval, recommended and in fact insisted that we bring it into the city. And that's the only reason we're here. And anything about Oakland Road, we've been through that with the Planning Commission. So I want to make that clear. Be glad to answer any questions any of you have.
Thank you, Mr. Bateman.
We certainly hope that you will vote for taking us into the city because we think that's where it ought to be. Every time we sell a lot out there, part of it, some of the lots would be in the city and part of them in the county, and we'd have to have 2 regulations on every time we have a sale. But anyway, we'd appreciate that, appreciate your indulgence, appreciate if you would go ahead and annex that, but we want our property to continue C4 zoning in the city if and when you all take it in. We appreciate your help and your indulgence, and I appreciate speaking to you very much.
Hang on, Mr. Bateman. We have a question. Mr. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Hi, Mr. Bateman. How are you?
Hello there. Yes, we spoke about it.
We did. So I don't know if you have actually seen the map, but there's your property that we're trying to annex, but they added another 38.95 acres in addition to yours to be annexed as C4, and then the C2. So that's where the bigger piece of the property. I will tell the council, and this is more for everyone here, I had a long conversation with Mr. Tyndall. There's no cost and there's no delay. So if we actually voted this down and you could go right back to the Planning Commission and divide this and bring it right back next month when we have the representation. There's no delay and there's no cost for these annexation requests. So that is just an option I wanted to share with you and the other council members here, if that was something that you wanted to talk about.
If there's a way that you could sever the rezoning issue that's here and go ahead and take us into the city and let us comply with the Planning Commission requirements as to our properties, the 16 acres. What you do about the rest of it, that's not something I'm arguing about. But we would like to do that if you could. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you have the floor.
It wouldn't really be up to us. I mean, we could
No, we can't
vote,
sever the question.
right, we would have to vote it down and then it would be up to you and Mr. Weekly to bring it right back as 2 separate questions. I mean, that would be, I would be hesitant just to propose that without the conversation between the 2 of you. That's my.
Okay, anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 56? Mr. Byland?
Good evening again. David Billen, 623 Stonewall Lane, right in the middle of Ward 12. In passing, when the first resolution came up, I heard talk about roads and dropping 5 lights in that area. And I don't know whether that is set in stone or just wild speculation, but the fact adding 1,000 cars and then putting 5 traffic lights in a mile and a half is not going to improve the quality of life for our ward. I think that Ms. Reynolds' idea to hook up in the backside and drop the traffic out from the area around Cracker Barrel would at least divide the amount of traffic in half. And yeah, we are going to have issues with schooling. I live at the end of the block from Oakland Elementary, and you want to see traffic problems? Drop in anytime during the time to drop kids off or to pick them up. And 111% so far, and then we're going to add more. We've got to look at this and do this the smart way. So I'm opposed to it, and that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Millen. I think the traffic signal situation was on Wilbur Rudolph Boulevard. There's a series of 5 traffic signals that Mr. Weekly was referencing. Okay, anyone else in the audience wish to speak against ordinance Resolution 56? Our code says we're allowed to offer rebuttal, so if you spoke in favor or are in favor of Resolution 56 and would like to offer any rebuttal to what was said against Resolution 56, you may come forward. Seeing none, we're now ready for item number 9, Ordinance 106, 2022-23, an ordinance amending the official code of the City of Clarksville, apportioning the City of Clarksville for the purpose of electing persons for the office of City Council member. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 106? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 106? Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Mayor, I move we go back into regular session.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to regular session. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 107, 2022-23, Z2223, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders Incorporated for zone change on property located at the intersection of Needmore Road and Trenton Road from C2 Commercial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District, that both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 107. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I was trying to do it before she started talking, but I was going to request that we take a bathroom break.
Could we?
Okay, let's dispose of this question and then we'll take care of that. All right, any further question regarding this motion for approval of 107? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 107 is adopted, first reading. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will take a 10-minute restroom break. 8:10 is when we'll reconvene. Thank you. reconvene. It is 8:10. We are on item 2 on our Planning Commission report. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 108, 2022, 23, Z23, 2023, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Mayville and Amanda Whitehurst for zone change on property located at parcel fronting the south frontage of High Street, 525 plus or minus feet south of the Crossland Avenue and High Street intersection from R3 three-family residential district to R6 single-family residential district. The Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 108. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 108? Councilperson Smith, you're
Thank
recognized.
you, Mayor. I'll be voting in favor of this. This is not in my area. It's across town. I'm gonna ask you all to vote in favor of this, if you would, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 108 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 109, 2022, 23, Z24, 2023, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Robert Meadows and Stephen Tyler Dennis for zone change on property located at 3 parcels fronting Everett Drive south of Hemlock Drive from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 109. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 109? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
10 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 109 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 110, 2022, 23, Z25, 2023, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of James Burchett for zone change on property located at property fronting New South Drive, approximately 465 feet south of Highway 76 from C4 Highway Interchange District to C2 General Commercial District, RPC, and the Regional Planning Commission and staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 110. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 110? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
10 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 110 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 111, 2022, 23, Z26, 2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Regional Holdings LLC for zone change on property located at a parcel fronting Oak Street, approximately 200 feet south of B Street, from R3 three-family residential district to R4 multiple family residential district. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 111. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 111? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 111 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 112, 2022, 23, Z27, 2023, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rachel Porter, TLRG Properties, for zone change on property located at the northeast corner of the Ford and 9th Street intersection from R3 three-family residential district to R2A single-family residential district. Both the Regional Planning Commission and staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 112. Councilperson Smith, you recognize.
I ask the council that they will vote in favor of this for me. This is in my ward, and this is a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 112? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 112 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Mayor, I'll be asking to postpone the next 3 items. Would it be possible for me to take up all 3 at once?
We'll entertain a motion and a second for that, to consider all three at once. Let me put my teeth in so I can talk. All right. Councilperson Streetman, would you like to make the motion to combine those into?
I make a motion that we combine items 7, 8, and 9, Resolution 57, 2022, 23, 56, 2022, 23, and Ordinance 106, 2022, 23.
The motion's been made to consider the combination of those three items. Any objection to combining those three items? Councilperson Reynolds, did you wish to be recognized on the motion to combine?
Just to ask the person who's making a motion to allow a conversation before the motion to postpone.
Well, we got to have a motion to postpone before, and then you can discuss.
So you'll take, there's been a motion and a second to postpone, and if there's no objection, the mayor can just say, there's no objection, we'll consider it approved. But if someone objects to it, he'll have to take a formal vote on the motion, I keep saying postpone, I mean to combine. Then let's assume that the motion to take them up together, combine it, passes. Then someone, Councilmember Streetman would need to go ahead and read each one, the two resolutions and the ordinance, and then have a motion for approval of all three together, and then a second. And then if and I'm not trying to prejudge what anybody's intentions are here, but I have heard that it sounds like there's at least some members who desire to postpone these matters. And so after the second, when it's open on the floor for discussion, someone at that point could make a motion to postpone and get a second, and you'll vote on that.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Okay, before you is the motion to combine those three items, which is Resolution 57, Resolution 56, and Ordinance 106. Any objection to combining those three items? Hearing none, we will combine those three. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 57, 2022, 23, a resolution adopting a plan of service for parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. Resolution 56, 2022, 23, a resolution annexing parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. Ordinance 106, 2022, 23, first reading. An ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, apportioning the city of Clarksville for the purpose of electing persons for the office of city council members, city council member recently annexed territories. Make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded. Councilperson Reynolds on the motion for approval. Would you like to be recognized?
No, after.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion then to postpone these three items to the next regularly scheduled meeting that will be held in June.
Okay, motion's been made to postpone those three items to the June 2023 regular session. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized on the motion to postpone.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker.
So there was a conversation by the interested property owners saying that they were interested in perhaps dividing this because their 16 acres is actually tied up into the remainder of this, and they're concerned for that rezoning. If we postpone, can they still go back to the county? So when I spoke to Mr. Tyndall, he said, like, if we just denied this flat out tonight and said no to all three, they could immediately reapply at the planning commission, and there would be no pause. It would come right back to us, and it's except for honestly time difference. There would be no additional cost incurred by any of the interested parties, and there would be no pause. It would be the same. And I'm just after the conversations. If the property owners wanted to have that conversation and we postpone it, can they go back, pull it, and put in a new one, or do they have to wait a month? Do you understand? Did I ask
I'm
that
not
correctly?
certain I understand, but if it's denied, and I mean, I don't mean the motion to postpone, I mean, if the resolution and ordinances are denied, which that's not before you now. The motion to postpone is what's before you, of course. I believe that they could turn right around and resubmit an application for annexation. And the reason why, together with whatever the zoning is that, that's requested, and the reason why the 12-month delay that's in our zoning code would not apply is because the zoning goes along with the annexation, and state law controls the annexation. And I'm not aware of anything that would say they would have to wait.
Right. So Mr. Bateman was saying that he, you know, his 16 acres as opposed to the remainder, like he would almost like to divide it. But if we postpone, then we make it harder for them to have that conversation is my concern. I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, can they still, if we postpone it, can Mr. Bateman still go and say, I want to withdraw this big one and divide it? If
I
that's
believe
his-
he could do that.
Okay, if that's his intent. I'm not saying, I mean,
Mhm.
that was what was said on the floor, so
Yes.
that was my concern. All right.
Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Yes. So I just wanted to say real quick that I initially I came in here ready to vote tonight because knowing obviously the voting record of prior council person for Ward 12, I mean, we all know she never voted anything down because that's just how she believed. But I know also that she also believed in representation, which again, per her voting record, she always did postpone until seats were filled. So I think it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
I just had a question for Mr. Baker that when they were talking. So the resolutions number 7 and 8, because we're looking at them at the same time. We're looking at all three at the same time. If those get voted down, that's the annexation process. But number 9 is an ordinance, and that's our laws, right? So would that ordinance being voted down be the, because if something gets voted down, it can't come back for a year, right? But this is an ordinance. This is under our laws, under our charter. An ordinance is different. This is us.
Well, resolution is ours too.
Yes.
All right. And of course, I know you know this, but let me just state it. The only difference between a resolution and an ordinance, of course, is an ordinance takes 2 readings, a resolution takes 1 reading. And if you, when this ultimately comes back, assuming the postponement passes,
Yes.
when this comes back before you, according to the state law, and this is TCA 6-51102 subsection B1, you have to pass a plan of services first.
Right.
Before you can approve the annexation, which is resolution 56.
Right.
If you fail to adopt the plan of services, in my view, and I've informed the mayor of this, it would be illegal for you to even vote
Right.
on the annexation because you have not first approved a plan of service.
Right.
And if you don't approve the annexation, it would be ultra vires act, and in my view, illegal to go ahead and vote on the ordinance. Because the ordinance is contingent upon, what that ordinance is all about is who's going to represent this new land that's being annexed. But if you don't annex it, there's no point in having the vote.
And I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
understand that. There's no point in having a vote. But I was reading about the annexation process. The annexation process does not cover the city of Clarksville, how we divide up our wards.
You are correct.
So if we were to vote this whole 3 down today, then this one, number 9, can't come back before us again, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So we really can't vote it down and send it back because then that part can't come back before us.
All right, say that one more
The
time.
number 9 wouldn't
Yep.
be able to come back before us. Number 8 and number 7 and number 8 could, but number 9 couldn't.
If something does not pass on first reading, it's dead.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's done.
So the best option would be to postpone it.
You could bring it back a year later. The best option is to, in my view, I mean, depending on what your ultimate legislative goal objective is here, would be to postpone it too.
Thank you.
Yes, you're correct.
Let the record reflect that Councilperson Smith is excused. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized on the motion to postpone.
I just kind of want to actually clarify what was just talked about. That ordinance actually specifically references these resolutions. So should it fail, it would be a different ordinance that came back forward referencing those. Although I'm obviously in favor of the postponement, but you could still bring an ordinance back that would delegate the elected persons for the area because you would be referencing different resolutions.
Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Yeah, I was trying to piggyback on what was previously said about that because there are other resolutions in here that pertain to other wards. So I just wanted to make sure that those guys would still get an elected official in there.
Mr. Baker.
That would require some, I agree with everything everybody's just said, but that makes me think too that what would need to happen is there would need to be an amendment. And if there is no amendment, then, and if ordinance 106 were to fail, just as currently written, then that would be a problem because you wouldn't be able to bring it back for a year with regard to those other ones. Although, honestly, what I would probably give my legal opinion would be is that the red rule would not prevent a new ordinance that deals with just those other categories or areas.
Okay.
Because in my view, that would be something substantially materially different than the way it's fully worded now.
Okay.
So actually, I think you could bring it back.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for the other residents who need an elected official. Thank you.
Councilperson Red, your name was called. You're recognized.
Call for the question.
All right. Question's been called for, properly second. Any objection to the question? Which we're ceasing discussion on the motion to postpone. No objection, so we are now voting on the motion to postpone Resolution 56, Resolution 57, and Ordinance 106. Every member, please cast your vote. Any member wish to change their vote, Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The motion to postpone passes. We are now on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 89, 2022-23, second reading. An ordinance of the City of Clarksville authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter an agreement for purchase and acquisition of easements and or property rights for a public purpose for the sidewalk project on Ringgold Road. Ordinance 90, 2022-23, second reading. An ordinance of the City of Clarksville authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter into an agreement for purchase and acquisition of easements and or property rights for a public purpose for the sidewalk project on Crossland Avenue. Ordinance 91, 2022-23, second reading. An ordinance of the City of Clarksville authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter into an agreement for purchase and acquisition of easements and or property rights for a public purpose for the sidewalk project on Burns Darden and between Richview Middle School and Clarksville High School. Ordinance 92, 2022-23, second reading. An ordinance of the City of Clarksville authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter into an agreement for purchase and acquisition of easements and or property rights for a public purpose for the sidewalk project on Rodier Drive, North Liberty Church, Appleton Drive, and Old Russellville Pike. Ordinance 93, 2022-23, second reading. An ordinance amending Title II, Alcoholic Beverages, Chapter 1, Beer, of the official city code to amend subparagraphs 3,
on sale, and 4 special events under Section 2-105. Ordinance 94, 2022-23, second reading, an ordinance to amend city code pertaining to the Recreation Special Revenue Fund. Ordinance 95, 2022-23, second reading, an ordinance amending the official code, Title 1.5, Chapter 16, Section 1.5-1602, relative to the organization and terms of the Human Relations Commission. Ordinance 97, 2022-23, second reading, an ordinance adopting the Red River Neighborhood Plan. Ordinance 98, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Luke Baggett, Sid Hedrick agent, for zone change on property located at the intersection of Davis Drive and Willow Heights from R2 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 99, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Wyatt Chittenden for zone change on property located at the intersection of Reynolds Street and Dodd Street from R3 Three Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 100, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Dunbar Development for zone change on property located at the intersection of Needmore Road and Centerstone Circle from AG Agricultural District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 101, 2022-23, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Raul Mujado Pedroza for zone change on property located at the intersection of Evans Road and Garrettsburg Road from RM1 Single Family Residential District to R1A Single Family Residential District. Resolution 57, 2022-23, a resolution approving a retail liquor store certificate of compliance for sale of liquor at Ebenezer's Liquor and Wine located at 2896 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Resolution 58, 2022-23, a resolution approving a retail liquor store certificate of compliance for sale of liquor at 931 Wine and Spirits located at 1049 Tennessee 76, Clarksville, Tennessee, and adoption of minutes from April 6, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion. Motion and second on the consent agenda. Councilperson Streetman on the consent agenda.
I'd like to pull Resolution 57, 2022-23.
Item 13, we'll take that up right after the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on the consent agenda? Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The consent agenda is adopted. We'll now take up Resolution 57. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm asked to pull this resolution because the applicant has contacted the city clerk to withdraw their request. So as I read it, I would ask that we do not have a second on this. Resolution 57, 2022-23, a resolution approving a retail liquor store certificate of compliance for sale of liquor at Ebenezer's Liquor and Wine, 2896 Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, Clarksville, Tennessee, 37040. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made for approval of Resolution 57. Do I hear a second? Fails for lack of a second. We're now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 72, 2022-23, first reading. An ordinance amending Part 2 Code of Ordinances, Title 12, Streets and Other Public Ways and Places, Chapter 6, Cemeteries of the Official Code of the City of Clarksville, Finance and Transportation, Street, Garage Committees, all recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 72. Any comment or question regarding Ordinance 72? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 72 is adopted. First reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Ordinance 105, 20, 22, 23, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the purchase or condemnation of the Frosty Mourne abandoned railroad spur for easements and/or rights of way and/or fee simple title in connection with the redevelopment of the city-owned former Frosty Mourne packing plant property. The Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 105. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 105? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 105 is adopted. First reading, Chairperson Streetman.
Resolution 55, 20, 22, 23, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the City of Clarksville, Tennessee, and the Clarksville Arts and Heritage Council, AHC. Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 55. Any comment or question regarding Resolution 55? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 55 is adopted. Chairperson Streetman.
That concludes all my reports, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We're now ready for the Gas and Water Committee. Chairperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Clarksville Gas and Water, we had a busy month. The gas system distributed 668.3 million cubic feet of natural gas, and that's averaging 21.6 million cubic feet per day. The water plant pumped 552.8 million gallons of treated water into the system, averaging 17.8 million gallons per day. And the sewer plant treated 477.6 million gallons of treated water into the system, averaging 14.9 million gallons per day. The call center handled 11,434 calls, each averaging 3 minutes and 35 seconds. The service department completed 5,941 work orders and responded to 327 after-hours calls. The billing division read 10,487 meters with accuracy of 99.89%. That's pretty good. The engineering department approved 20 utility plans and currently has 60 ongoing projects. And that will conclude my report.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're now ready for the Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. Chairperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Neighborhood and Community Services report for May. The staff began working on its 2023-2024 annual action plan on the 3rd of March. That plan with the draft was actually posted to the department's webpage on the 25th of April, and the staff is still working that plan. The Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, the application was completed and successfully submitted on the 31st of March to the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. Neighborhood and Community Services anticipates approximately $134,375 in grants. We have not heard from the Tennessee Housing Development Agency about the award yet, but we do expect that grant. In recognition of Fair Housing Month, Neighborhood and Community Services participated in a Fair Housing Summit on the 29th of April at the William O. Beach Civic Center. That was a successful event. Also on the 29th of April, along with the Small Business Development Center, we sponsored a free business workshop at Office Now. It was a successful event. Several entrepreneurs actually attended that. A Hispanic business boot camp was started today, and we will meet once a week for the rest of this month. So far, 15 businesses have registered for this particular boot camp. We had a committee meeting today, and all members of the committee were present. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson Shekinah. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? I will report to the council that David Smith has been tasked with being the interim director of that department. He will work in tandem with Kristen Wilcox, who's the deputy chief financial officer for the city, and they will operate it by committee. We've got a lot of construction-related activity coming out of that department, so David's expertise will be particularly helpful to the staff. All right, we're now ready for Parks and Recreation Committee, and that will be Chairperson Zacharias. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The Parks and Recreation Committee met on April 11th. Items discussed included the recent storm damage, summer youth program, an American Sign Language class for staff, golf programming, and project updates. The Queen City Road Race is right around the corner. The race weekend kicks off with the Health and Fitness Expo at the Wilma Rudolph Event Center, featuring vendors with the latest products and services in health, fitness, and nutrition. The expo is free to the public on both days and also serves as packet pickup for all running participants. Valley Brook Park is the latest addition to the local pollinator garden installations in Clarksville. Valley Brook Park Pollinator Garden is roughly an 11,000 square foot garden featuring a meadow and native pollinator plants, including elderberry, culver's root, purple coneflower, and switchgrass. Please don't ask me to identify any of those. I should come across them. Just to name a few. Planning started in April, and we're looking forward to many pollinators this spring. And finally, I'm happy to share some information that highlights one of the many benefits our municipal golf courses offer the city. Swan Lake has partnered with the police department's juvenile engagement team to introduce at-risk youth to the benefits of golf and the life lessons it offers. The program provides free rounds and driving range access to, and teaches youth integrity, honesty, initiative, and other life-improving qualities. Mayor, this concludes my report.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're now ready for Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The police department is about ready to graduate the 37th session of the Citizens Police Academy. If you're interested in going through the Citizens Police Academy, go to the cityofclarksville.com and sign up for that. Additionally, they're going to be soon taking applicants for the annual Teen CPA Clarksville Police Academy, which takes place every June. And stay tuned to social media for more details if you know someone that would be interested in that. The fire department, the new headquarters facilities under construction, still on track to be completed in 1 year. The new tower has arrived and is serviceable. The current fire academy is in its 12th, is in week 12, and is set to graduate and swear in 12 recruits on May the 9th at 9 a.m. at the auditorium of the Custom House Museum, and everyone is invited. Building and codes, the activity report, construction division had 2,525 total inspection codes. Enforcement division had 296 new cases, and abatement was, division worked 27 cases. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson Red. Any comment or question regarding this committee? Seeing none, in Chairperson Smith's absence, she asked me to give her committee report. So I'm going to do my best to channel my inner Chairperson Smith. The Clarksville Transit System report for April. Clarksville Transit transported 43,527 passengers for the month of April. CTS transported 7,211 seniors for the month. Demand response, which is our paratransit and the lift vans, for the month of April was 3,451. Please remember to use the CTS Spot app to find out where our buses are at any time, day or night. Street Department completed 169 work orders in the month of April. Spring cleanup tickets completed in the month of April was 927 tickets. Those folks have been busy. Streets paved during the month have been 12. Streets planned for paving in May this month are 10. And that completes that department report. And the city garage continues to do great things. Fuel cost for unleaded is $2.88 per gallon, which represents a 35% increase. Diesel fuel is $2.73 per gallon. And that concludes her report. Any comment or question regarding this committee? Thank you very much. I'll be signing autographs after the council meeting. All right. Thank you very much. All right. We're now ready for mayor and council member comments. Thank you, Councilperson McLaughlin. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind everybody that budget season is upon us. The budgets for all the departments will be available on our iPads by the end of the day tomorrow, and our standing committee budget meetings will kick off next week, starting on Monday with the Finance Committee and the budget overview, and that is Monday at 4 o'clock here in the council chambers. So I hope everybody is as excited as me to be able to look at all the numbers.
All right, thank you. Councilperson Markey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Two quick things. Again, tomorrow's the first Friday of the month. Take your kids out to read at Rotary Park. They have snacks, books, and activities for the children. And then the second thing is if anybody has attempted to contact me via phone like the last month, I'm sorry. I'm not avoiding anyone. I lost my phone. So if you did not leave me a message, I have no idea if you called. Otherwise, I have a phone now. You can call me or email me. Thank you.
Thank you. That explains it. I won't take it personally. All right, Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of myself and Councilmember Allen, Saturday is the 17th Annual International Female Ride Day, which celebrates women who ride their own motorcycles and encourages other women to do so.
Thank you. You heard it here first. Okay, Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to give a plug for the chair of the Ethics Committee. That's a hard committee to chair, and I'd just like to give a plug to Council Member Ward 1 for chairing that. Thank you.
All right, he and I will be signing autographs in the lobby. Okay, Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a moment to recognize the spring 2023 graduating class of Austin Peay State University and two graduates in particular. First, our former colleague, Tricia Butler, graduates tomorrow, so congratulations to her on her accomplishment. Second, and a bit closer to my heart, my 36-year-old mother, who seems to be getting a lot of airtime in these meetings lately, will graduate with her bachelor's degree in English. Yes, she decided to kick off her retirement by going to college. So thanks, Mom, for continuing to inspire me and setting an example that lets me know I will never be able to retire if I am going to live up to you.
All right, well said, well said. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So we do have to before I start saying what I got to say, which is it's great. But we also have to congratulate Councilwoman Reynolds. She is also graduating from college.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, congratulations.
And it's so funny that we bring up college right now because in the next 3 months, student loan debt is getting ready to start back. I urge anyone that has student loan debt at this point to start talking to your service providers now. While I'm one that does have student loans, there are programs out there that can help you be able to maintain a quality of life. I know this is not city business, but it is important, and that money needs to come back into the city instead of you spending over the amount of money that you really have to spend on your student loan. So please reach out to your servicers now so that by the time the student loan repayment starts back, we can make sure that you have your everything the way that it needs to be. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. Don't fall prey to those who want to try to take advantage either. Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to let the community know that we, my ministry was owned by my parents. I'm ministries along with I Am Invisible, and Queen City have partnered together to make a resource center. And in that center, first and third Thursdays from 3:30 to 5 o'clock, they are giving away clothes, boxes of food, and just being available for any special needs and stuff like that to be able to assist the community. So remember, first and third Thursdays, if you need any food, clothes, and things like that, or just resources or prayer, come on out to Queen City, drive around the back. They'll load you up. You don't got to do anything.
Thank you. Any more comment or announcements? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we're adjourned.